Okay, number one, who or what inspired you to pursue studies and a career in STEM?
Now, this is actually sort of a tough question for me, but I don't have a specific person who who I was really trying to follow or use as a role model. I think what happened as I chose a career in STEM was I basically took classes that I found were interesting to me when I went to college. My high school curriculum was very fixed, going to a very small high school. And then when I went to college, I was like, oh, I think I'll take some of this. I think that's interesting. And then I just kept taking classes along a physics and math route, and that's where I ended up. But I wasn't following any particular person.
Okay. What obstacles did you encounter in your STEM field and how did you overcome them?
I would say the biggest obstacle that I have encountered was based on a personal choice that I wanted to have children, and I wanted to not only have children, but I wanted to stay home with them. At the end of my postdoc, my oldest daughter was born, and my husband and I were getting ready to move for his position. And I decided that I was going to stay home. And a lot of people said that I had people tell me that, I was really shooting my career in the foot. And that was hard because it was something I really wanted, was to spend that time with my kids when they were little. I have two girls, and they're in elementary school now. And I did make it back into the workplace. I took a couple years where I didn't really work. There was a little bit of part-time work in there, a bit where I, pursued things that, I did some teaching at a community college. I worked with an education nonprofit and some other things. But I did find that my skills slipped a little. It was hard when I went back. But, I interviewed a few times and I found someone who was willing to take me on part-time. And so I'm currently, I'm not full-time, I'm 80% time. And that suits me fine because it gives me just a little bit of extra time to help with my kids. So that was really, I would say, the biggest obstacle was trying to make that leap. And I had to make a leap that was different than what I felt was right for me, because I had other friends in grad school and throughout my postdoc, and basically no one else took the same path that I chose. I don't really know anyone else who just stayed home with their kids. Most people went a different route where they chose to put their kids in childcare or whatnot, and so taking a different path was hard.
Okay. What strengths have you found being a woman in STEM?
I'd say here that something I find is that I'm more willing to ask for help on things. And I find that women are often more willing to admit that they don't know everything and that they need to talk to someone to work through a problem. I find that there are a lot of people who let their ego get in their way. And when your ego gets in the way, then it's a put off and to other people, but it also means you're not collaborating very well. And I think women are better at dealing with that than men, in my opinion.
Great. What advice would you give to young women interested in pursuing STEM careers?
I would say here, the biggest thing is sort of tied to the last question, which is to find mentors, to find other women who might want to, they may not be advising you technically, if there is no one really close in your in wherever you work or you're studying, but find women who you can talk to about the situation, because in general about struggles, because you're not the first person who struggled with issues of, being in a lab or a situation where you're the only woman around. So I would say that is number one, is to find people to talk to and mentor you. I would also say I've felt throughout my entire career, which, I find myself sort of mid-career now, I've had a lot of people make comments to me that are, oh, you think, oh, that doesn't seem fair. I mean, and it's not fair what they say, or it seems biased. And sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the negative comments that people make. And I think sometimes, not always, it's better to just prove yourself by going out there and doing good work and doing good science and kind of proving them wrong, especially if they're making comments that, they think you can't do it or aren't good enough. I think, your actions can speak louder, and just go out there and do good work, and it's going to get recognized.
Wow, that's amazing. Finally, what do you see for the future of women in STEM?
Well, I think, women have great ideas, and I don't see any reason why women should be excluded from STEM fields. I certainly felt like STEM fields were open to me. So I hope other women see it that way. And I hope that we start developing more flexibility for women and more opportunities, because I think for a lot of women that holds them back, especially, when you have an idea that you about a family, and somehow, it gets caught up in this idea of, well, you can't do this certain career if you want to have a family. We shouldn't have things that are incompatible like that. So I really hope in our future that we're really working on issues like that. And I think women have a lot to bring to the table. So I really hope that that we'll continue seeing a lot of women entering STEM fields in increased numbers.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna stop recording.